What is happening, folks? Adam Laser here. Welcome to the Onewheel Podcast, episode 9 with my good pal, Jack Mudd. It has been a doozy of a month and a half, and we have a ton of updates and things to talk about. That's products, events, and upcoming things that you do not want to miss. So thank you for tuning in, and thanks for listening, folks. Looking forward to it. How does it feel sitting right directly across from me?
I feel like we're locked in an intense negotiation.
Yes. This is where I ask for $1 million. All right, Jack. We are on, this will be podcast episode 9. We're about to break 10.
Almost double digits.
That's big for us.
It's huge.
That's big. Obviously, going to like episode 100 would be sick, but you know, you got to start off small, start off somewhere.
Huge shout out to anyone who's watched all 9. If you've watched all 9 podcasts, God bless you.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to chat. There's been just a lot of stuff that's happened. Part of the reason why we haven't been podcasting, I suppose, but excited to just break down some of the things that we've been working on. And I'm doing
so
great.
So many things I had to bring out my iPad.
Give us the list, Laser.
And I had to reference my calendar, my work calendar, because I was like, I think the last podcast was about a month and a half ago, a little bit more. It was with Jafari. And I was like, it feels like it's been so long. It feels like it's been months.
Yeah.
But it's really been maybe 2 months at the most. So in terms of things, right after we released the Jafari podcast, me, you, Joey, and Kevin went and volunteered for the National Trails Day here in Santa Cruz County, which was really cool. Onewheel is a sponsor. We're a
silver tier sponsor,
we're a
right?
Silver tier sponsor of the Santa Cruz Mountain Trail Stewardship Organization, nonprofit here in Santa Cruz County. Just an epic organization that pretty much takes care of all of the public trails here in Santa Cruz. And as a cyclist, one-wheeler, hiker, like I didn't feel like I grew up with anything like that. So it was really cool to see not only the turnout, but every single park in the county had people at it volunteering. And you and Joey and Kev were where at?
Laser said he was going to quickly list all the activities, but
oh my gosh,
but we can talk a little bit more about each one. We were just up the hill from our office, literally 5 minutes away.
Cool.
Moore Creek, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Cow Hill, as we call it. And we were creating drainage runoffs to make sure that when water does fall next on these trails, that it's not going to degrade the trail. So learned a lot there. It was hot. It was dusty, but it was a lot of fun. And I think we got to interview a couple people. We actually never pushed out a full-length YouTube video on that, but I think we have the footage, and at some point we will probably hear. At some point. But it was cool to interview some of those folks that's their full-time job. And just, one thing that is obvious, but you don't really think about is like trails don't just happen. Like, how do you think they got there? As a trail user, it's sort of easy to just like assume that trails are just there. But talking to some of these people that's their job, like trails are not just there. Trails have to be built. They have to be maintained. There's a lot of effort and energy that goes into that. And I think for any one-wheel rider who takes advantage of trails in their local area, it's a good thing to understand and maybe look into who does that in your area and maybe how you can help. Because if you're just a user, then you're not
you're taking.
So it felt good to give back, and it's something that I would be excited to keep doing. In addition to our support, which you mentioned, which is cool.
Okay, so I dove into that a little deeper than I said.
That's okay. I think we can go one at a time.
Now I'm gonna rip the list. So we had Trails Day, and then and we will talk about this after I go through the list because there's a lot. We had the Riders Summit.
Riders Summit.
Immediately after the Riders Summit, we pushed out an epic video that we put together on a family, the Johnson family, Johnson Livestock. Onewheel Presents video. Right after that, we went to Shredfest, jammed our faces off.
Laser crushed it.
It was sick. We'll talk about that.
And your boy got in the mix too.
Yep. The Future Motion family band.
Maybe at the end of this,
we rip a little.
We could insert a little bit of footy.
Yeah, for sure. After that, we went and shot a Onewheel advertisement for a commercial, pretty much, with some awesome one-wheelers. Then there was Northwest Electric Fest. We didn't go, but Tyler James went and raced and represented Future Motion. Then, quick turnaround to the X Games, which just happened. Pretty epic. So that's like the list of things we've been doing.
And I think by the time this podcast comes out as well, it will be announced that Race the Rail 2022 will be re-aired on ESPN2.
ESPN2?
So add that to the list.
Damn. So a lot of things have been going on, hence why we haven't done a podcast in quite a bit. But let's start back at the top. So we talked about the Trails Day. That's epic. I would eventually love to have some of those folks on here to talk about trail stewardship.
Will be good.
Even just like the gray area of electric vehicles on trails. They're super supportive of us, but there's a lot of bureaucracy that goes into getting electric vehicles approved on trails. And fortunately, I've got some ties in there that always want us to come out and support. They love it. So
it's so much better to be a part of that community than to be on the outside and just like I don't know, just think of the incentive structure too. You know, if you're them and you've been making these trails for ages and all of a sudden these new people come on the block, like what is the vibe that the new group has? Like that's so key, you know, and thinking about what role we'll be able to have in the long term. So I think, yeah, it's so much better to just like go make friends with those folks and go help out and show that you are invested and that you care, and it just makes a big difference, I think.
Did you learn anything other than like the drainage ditches you were building and all that stuff? What was your favorite tool to use?
The McLeod. Obviously.
The most famous.
The McLeod. Vicious ripping teeth on one side, square base on the other for just dirt dragging, and then you can use it as a tamper as well. And here's something that most people probably don't know about myself is that I actually used to play catcher in baseball in high school. I was a pretty good catcher. And catchers have to tamp their, the batter's box and the catcher's box after each practice in high school. Like you don't have someone else to do that. So I have a lot of experience with making sure like my moisture levels are perfect. You know, I'm tamping my soil perfectly because you want to create like a nice environment back there. So I had a little throwback to that during Trails Day. You know, like you start getting in that dirt zen mode.
Oh yeah,
where you're just crafting a perfect little setup for this drainage or whatever. So the McLeod is the best tool.
Dude, I can only envision. I was off. I volunteer, take photos for them all the time. I can only envision a sweaty Jack Mudd in the midst of a Santa Cruz
it was great
heat wave, just tamping the ground.
It was great.
He was a catcher back in the old days.
Joey and Kev too. One thing I'm going to plug here, and I'm jumping way ahead, but one thing I'm going to plug here while we're talking about dirt tamping and McLeods and whatnot.
Oh, smokes.
Race to the Rail is getting very real. And in the very near future, if not by the time this podcast is out, we will have a volunteer form available because we need volunteers. We need you.
It's true.
Because we need to make this the best Race to the Rail ever. And what that's going to involve this year is laying down a ton of fresh dirt.
Yes.
And we're going to need just hands. It's going to take a whole village. but we're going to make the best race course for the best one-wheel riders that we possibly can. So we need, just throwing that out there. Maybe we have a link in the description, or maybe just like if that perks your ears up, like stay tuned, because we would love to have your help, and it would be major, and it'd be a good time. Get to go make the best race course for these people. So just plant that seed there. Okay, continue.
No, I think that's good, because we get asked every year, how can I help? How can I do more? I want to be involved. And I mean, if you're into physical and manual labor and you like riding one wheels and you want to be involved in Race for the Rail, the creation of the greatest race course on planet Earth, I think it's going to be great. Laying down dirt is a huge step, but it is, like you said, going to take a ton of hands.
Yeah.
And, we'll have more information about that. It'll be a fun time.
Yeah.
You'll actually maybe potentially be considered as an honorary member of the Dirt Union.
You will be. I mean, right. You'll be a Dirt Union
get
member.
like a plaque or something. Some Yagis. We'll cook some Yagis up for you. Those hot dog with bacon.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to, I think probably the biggest thing that we haven't been able to talk about, which we wanted to talk about right away, was the Riders Summit.
The Riders Summit, the first one.
The first one ever.
Yeah. So for folks who aren't familiar, basically we invited out, a roster of some of the best / most involved / just good one-wheel community members, highly invested people who live and breathe one wheel, and just had them here in Santa Cruz to spend a couple days with us and shoot the shit, talk about a wide range of things in the one wheel world, from future product development to racing and the sport and the culture, various, you name it. Basically, we talked about it over a span of 3 days. So just a really good time, first of all. Like an amazingly fun time. Just fun to host people here, get to show them the office and stuff. Get to sit down in this room with everybody and just build better relationships with all those folks. So yeah, that was a really special opportunity, and it was over my birthday. I had a great time. You guys saw me have birthday 3 times.
If that doesn't speak, core one wheel boy.
I'm as core as they get, really. At the end of the day.
I think a lot of people don't realize that. We had the podcast where I talked to you about, how it all got started and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, Jack is like number 2 or number 3 employee.
I was number 1, baby.
Number 1. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Has ridden more one wheels and one wheel than, maybe not miles, but more one wheel than anybody on this freaking planet.
Yes. I mean, years wise.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy when I think about it like that. I'm like,
yeah, dude. It's been my whole life. It's been your life too for the last 5 years.
Oh
so.
My gosh.
But yeah, anyways, the summit was just, it was rad. I mean, you were there for
I was like I got kind of lucky.
Yeah, you were shooting photos and some videos.
I was like shooting some photos and video, and I was a fly on the wall a little bit. I think it's just so much fun to hang out with all the folks that were there. And one of the things that I got to do, which I was super stoked on, was take portraits of all of the attendees.
Those were super powerful and cool.
And for me, I was like thinking about it. I think when we take those the second day or something, and it was right after we had just ripped down one of the trails locally here. We had 2 separate groups, and I got to this realization. I was like, wow, I've been interviewing and shooting photos of some of these people for over 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Like Dave Stewart,
Yeah.
was one of them that came to mind. And I was like, that is just such an amazing opportunity. And I'm so grateful to like be able to build those relationships, because it's just a different type of relationship when you are talking to somebody intimately on camera
Yep.
or asking them to take a photo of themselves, especially a portrait, you know, like
Right.
a lot goes into just like making them feel comfortable and getting the photo that you want, but also showing who they are through
Yep.
imagery. And I was like, I don't know, it just kind of was like a little emotional for me because I was like, wow, some of these folks I've spent so much time with and been able to develop such a relationship beyond just you're a one-wheeler, I work for One Wheel. It's like, no, these are my friends
Totally.
that get to come hang out and at my work.
Yeah.
You know, it's like having your friends come to your office and hang out in your office.
Oh,
like
totally.
the studio space, and then be able to shoot photos of them all weekend. But like, it seemed awesome. Like there was this, we got to show them so many things and like how we operate and how we work. And they got to share with us so many things that I think for both sides of, for those of us that work here at One Wheel and those are like on the outside that ride One Wheel, it was just kind of like, hey, come into our house.
Totally.
And check out my couch and look at the ground. Like, we're just normal people like you guys, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
you come in here and eat bagels and drink coffee, you know?
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have so many thoughts on that, but,
And so personally,
yeah.
what was like some of your favorite parts?
Well, just building off what you were saying there a minute ago is like, it was my 32nd birthday on one of those days, and I'm just zooming down a trail trying to try to keep Dave Stewart in my line of sight, you know, and I just had this moment where I was like, man, I'm so glad that like I'm 32 years old and it's still part of my job to just like ride down this trail as fast as I can.
That's insane.
Totally. Like, it's so.
What'd you do at work today, Jack?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know.
So that was a personal moment, but yeah, I think one of the takeaways was just that I think it's like so valuable to be able to for people to be able to spend more time with Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, I mean, like you said, we spend a lot of time with all of these people, and I consider all of them friends. I have all their phone numbers, like on texting relationships and stuff. But I think for folks to be able to spend time with Kyle and really like talk to him about what they want from the board, how they want it to respond to different situations, be able to show Kyle their mods, it was so awesome. One of my favorite moments is like Jeff Adair, had his board all modded out and was like a little apprehensive to show it to Kyle. And Kyle's just like goes up and is like asking about all this stuff, and Jeff's like just glowing, and they're just kind of like talking one wheel shop. And it's just one of these moments where like you realize that like a lot of these barriers that are perceived to exist like are fabricated. Mm-hmm. Like it's not real.
Don't believe everything on the internet.
Yeah. It's exactly. It's just like a couple dudes talking wheel on the back patio over a brisket sandwich. So I thought that was really special. And then also, on the flip side, like I thought it was really nice to be able to have like a smaller group where we could really like talk through some of the like more challenging things about the business, right? That you might not understand, well, like the CPSC thing, right? Like we had an opportunity to really take everyone through the entire process and just like lay it out for them in pretty plain terms, and just talk about what that process has been like. It's been like a year-long process, and it's been super challenging on a lot of fronts, and I think it was nice. I think people were very surprised to. I mean, it's not like we haven't talked about this before, but I think people were very surprised to learn a little bit more about that, and then, to be able to show people some things that are under development. I mean, those folks got to take an early look at custom shaping, which is really cool. It was fun to hear that feedback. That was like there was like a standing ovation. It was a really fun moment. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There was like a lot of cool things that came out of that. There's a lot of things that that have affected decisions that we made, recently too. Just based on those conversations.
What would some of those be?
Well, there's like the things. It's pretty wide ranging. I mean, there's like product decisions, that we probably like can't talk about so much here because some of that stuff hasn't come out yet. But I think like we've taken that feedback pretty seriously. There's things as simple as just like, people want more coverage from races. People want us to be everywhere all the time, which we try to do.
That was yeah.
We try to do, but whatever. There's some limitations to all of the one wheel race events we can go to every year,
right.
But we played at Shredfest.
Oh my gosh!
Right? I mean, it's hard to beat that. There's some race the rail things, that we listened to, that people wanted that will come into effect this year. So just kind of like all over the place, So
yeah.
I think, felt really good, felt very important, felt very healthy. I think it's something that we need to do every year. And just, I enjoyed it. I had a great time.
Yeah, I think that was one of the cool parts was when they had y'all had the breakout sessions and I sat down in one and it was cool to it didn't matter what it was about. People could just speak their mind and everybody listened, no matter if you were a rider attending or if you were a one wheel employee, people just listened. Yeah. And it was an open space for discussion. And, you have tons of passionate people in the same room. And I think that's what was cool is like, we are all passionate about one wheel, right? Yeah. Like, it's not like you don't have to be riding 24/7 to be a passionate one wheeler. Like,
totally.
We literally live this 24/7. And it was like great to just talk about it, talk about what it will be, what it could be, what is happening now. Like, it was so cool.
It was really cool
to share all that.
One of the interesting things that we talked about was what is the community?
Ooh.
What is the community? Because the community gets tossed around on the one wheel internet.
It is a term.
Like it's a defined thing. But I think that it's broader than people intend to
what's
use
your
it
take on what is, and I guess who is the one wheel community? That's a curious one.
I don't know. Because the example that I was thinking about is that you went out with Kevin and filmed a Onewheel Presents, a piece on Onewheel riders, people that have owned one wheels
for many years,
and
use them every day.
Correct. But they are ranchers.
They don't attend races. They don't attend one wheel events.
No, but they love one wheel.
And
they use it all the time. So, but that's not who we would typically think of as quote unquote the community.
Yeah.
Right? Which gets thrown around a lot. I just thought it was an interesting thing, and it was something that we talked about with some of the folks there. Because I think there's like there's obviously like a more narrow vision of who that is, right? It's people that go to the races or or the events, right?
Are actively participating in the I guess you could call it like the core one wheel events and things that go on.
Yeah.
I guess like group rides and things like that. I had a very different opinion of what to me, it's like a community should be inclusive, right? Like at least that's how I view things. So like in my mind, the ranchers are part of the one wheel community, but in some other people's minds, maybe they're not. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think we all have different opinions on that, but it was an interesting
topic. It is interesting because the one wheel community is so inclusive. Yeah. Like that's the best part about it is that when you go to any of these events,
it's open arms.
You're in.
Arms.
You're in. You don't need to pass any tests, do a curb nudge to for people to be your friend. Like I think that's the best part about it. And I would just encourage all One Wheel people to just remember that, that like being inclusive is kind of the special sauce of the One Wheel community.
Yeah.
And I think that can extend broader than we might all think. That was a juicy segue, but tell me a little bit about the Johnson Rancher lifestyle.
Dude, that was a great segue because that is the next topic.
Yeah.
Wow. So earlier this year, one of our colleagues shared a photo of a younger girl who was riding an XR, and she was roping cattle. And she was, roping the cattle
in the midst of
total badass photo.
Cows.
And I saw this photo and I just like lost it. I was like, this is the coolest One Wheel photo I've ever seen. This is so badass. We need to find out who these people are. So our colleague did their research, like just found who they were. Turns out it's a family of 5, and all of the kids, 3 kids, ride One Wheels, and they've been riding One Wheel for years. And they use their One Wheels on their ranch as a tool. They don't they're not about racing. They're not about going out trail riding all the time. It's okay. The pivot on our the pivot motor, which is essentially, if you ever look at a big farm field and the things that go in circles and water all the crops, those have motors in them that make them go around. Well, it just so happens to be that a One Wheel's tire fits perfectly inside of the pivot track. So when the pivot motor goes out, they use the One Wheels to ride along the track and replace the pivot motor. And those things weigh like 100+ pounds. So these folks will like go out, get the motor, ride it out, because otherwise they got to walk in the dirt, and like it's just like, it takes longer. Mm-hmm. We all know that One Wheels are way more efficient at doing practical odd jobs. So they use it to do the odd jobs around the ranch. But yeah, it was just like, we have to go up there. So Kev and I, boom, got in the van, drove 14, 15 hours in a day to northern Nevada, showed up at this ranch. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. Like, this family just opened up their house and their ranch to us, and we're like, film whatever you want. It's Mother's Day on Sunday. Our tradition is to brand cattle. That's how they identify their calves. It's also how they have to castrate the calves so they turn into steers. I hope I'm getting all that right. They turn into steers so that they are just raised for meat, right? Mm-hmm. That's how things work for food. So, and it was just like a wild experience, because I grew up in New Jersey. I grew up in like the foothills in a lake community. I wasn't on a ranch. I lived in Texas for a while. Being a cowboy was like, that could be cool, right? Mm-hmm. Like, everybody wants to be a cowboy, but really most of the times they're all hat, no cattle, right? And these folks were just like the most synced up family I've ever met. And it was wake up every day at 5:30, 6 a.m. Saturday, Sunday, you wake up at 6 a.m. You have work to do around the ranch, or we got to go ride the horses and, wrangle the cattle. And it was just cool. They just let us into their life. They were super welcoming, amazing hosts, amazing community of rancher folks. Like, their nearest rancher is 12 miles away, or their nearest neighbor is 12 miles away. And they said in the video, it's like, we consider anybody that lives within a radius of 100 miles our neighbor. So on Sunday, on Mother's Day, we went to the pen that's in the middle of nowhere. And they have like over 100,000 acres of property that they just roll their cattle on, just like all over the place. You see it in the video. It's like actually insane. And their community comes out, and it's just a whole process. You got to rope the cattle. You got to, brand it. You got to castrate it. You need to mark it. And it's a very quick process. And I think that's one thing that I was learning, because like a lot of people will probably see it and they go, oh my gosh, they're hurting the animals and such. And I asked the question, I was like, well, this is like very like vintage way to do this, right? This is like an old school cowboy way. What's the alternative, for people that might feel like you're harming animals? And they said, oh, the alternative is literally taking the calf away from their mother, putting them in the back of a trailer, driving them to a big industrial pen, and then doing that process there with machines. The whole process that they were doing was like under like a minute, and the calf's back with their mother. And I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Right.
Like, and it's also sticking true to the cowboy tradition. Kev and I got initiated a little bit and had to eat half raw cow testicles that I had cut, which was just like totally nuts, totally insane. But it's like kind of like the Fear Factor moment where you're like, all right, well, I'm here, when in Rome.
Chewy? Was it chewy?
It was chewy. I just held my breath and swallowed, and it was an experience that I wouldn't trade, for anything. But overall, I was so stoked with how the video turned out. We shot over 2.5 days, and it was just waking up every morning and, the father, Buck Johnson, I had coffee with him at 6 a.m. every morning, and it was just awesome because like it was one of those things. Like I'm a traveler. I love hearing people's stories. I don't judge people for how their political views, or I don't just like close off if somebody doesn't agree with me. And with Buck, there were some things that maybe I didn't agree with, but like we talked about life. We talked about what it was like to be a rancher, a cowboy. And I just love listening to people's stories. And that was like the best part of it all. And getting to ride around in like an 18-wheeler with she was like 16 or 17 driving a freaking tractor trailer with hay on the back of it, just ripping gears. Like, the sons are driving John Deere tractors, just like so stoked that we're there. And like, it was amazing. And I know Kev was like super stoked too. He's like, dude, I've never experienced anything like this in my life.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was just, I don't know. I could talk forever about it, but like amazing people. They use their one wheels every single day. And it was so cool to see the wheel used in that type of scenario. Outside of the context of just trail riding or transportation or racing. And I felt like it was necessary to share that story because a lot of people, like, they just see it as like a toy.
Sure.
Or, something for fun. And they're like, no, literally, like, without these, our lives would be harder.
Some really amazing shots. If you haven't seen that video, definitely, we'll probably link it below. Definitely go check it out. It's like you're saying, Maddie Rose, that girl taking her cow for a walk in the morning.
She walks her steer every morning with a
They're
one
like
wheel.
Wrangling cows on it, and it's insane.
They practice their roping, and it's
so
great.
So cool. Yeah, so we'll have to link that below. Check it out if you have not.
Super fun opportunity. And then we got back, and then the next weekend was Shredfest. Oh my God.
Snake in the rain, baby.
Shout out to Manuel and Jen.
Yeah.
Manuel hit me up not too long ago. Actually, when we had him on the podcast, I think he was like episode 3 or something like that. And he's like, hey, would you want to play a set at Shredfest? And I was like, dude, let's do it. Let's do it. And then you picked up the guitar.
I picked up the guitar. Adam is actually really good at guitar and singing. And crushed it, played, I don't know, 3 songs or so, and then I hopped in there. I've been playing guitar for a couple weeks, and wrote up an original song called "Snake in the Rain," which we can maybe play a cut of at the end here. I would give it it was a B minus.
It was pretty good, man.
It was one of the greatest moments of my life. Just doing it, it's pretty scary, to be honest, if you don't really know how to play an instrument, playing on a stage.
On a stage in front of every person that knows who you are.
Yeah,
it's not just like a random crowd. It's like, oh, there's Jack from Onewheel playing a guitar, and I was like, yeah, let's go.
It was awesome. It was super awesome. Yeah, Shredfest was fun. That was great.
Shredfest was dope. Shout out to Thor and Mercedes for
Winners.
winning the pro divisions. Also want to shout out to Chris Ferret, won the Clydesdale, and Zach Zinn, who won the Legends.
Always Zach Zinn winning.
That was really fun. It's an awesome race course.
Yeah.
And they have a great finish. You know, everybody could watch what's going on.
Yep.
Pretty hot out there this year.
Yeah. The creek was key,
The creek was crucial.
Yeah. Fun event. If you haven't been next year, put it on your calendar.
Yeah. And then we shot an ad with some community members up here in Santa Cruz.
That's right.
That was fun. I didn't do too much for it, but it was like, I love those, like seeing like the production crew and our team integrate with each other. And the coolest part is like, we do our best to bring in community members to be the talent.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean,
Shane, Devin, Lily, Ty. I mean, basically every Tyler and Ty.
Yeah. Even Kevin got
in there. Yeah. So yeah. Totally. The director Reese made a comment to Lily and Ty at the end. He's like, it's so cool. It's like most brands, when they're shooting a commercial, like they don't feature actual people who actually love the thing, use the thing. And, I think with Onewheels, it's a little like you kind of have to. You can't really fake riding it.
You can't fake riding
super
it
well.
It doesn't look good.
Yeah. But that was a good time. So that'll come out in the next, I don't know, month or so, maybe.
Dope.
We'll keep an eye out for that. Hey, you know what we forgot on our list?
Oh gosh.
Apparel.
We'll get to that.
Oh,
let's get to it after the like event stuff.
Okay.
Because it's just been
Keep going.
Hammertown. Just a quick shout out for Northwest Electric Fest, another ORL sanctioned event
in the huge Eugene.
In Eugene, that's Jack's place, old stomping grounds.
Yeah, go Ducks.
Go Studio One. That's my favorite coffee shop down there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't
know it.
It's kind of right by the campus. It's whatever, dude. You wouldn't know. Jafari and Raquel McCosker.
Ooh,
dude, she's back.
She's back.
She's freaking back.
I saw that. I think she's maybe third in points on the ladies' side.
Possibly. I just saw the results. And
you can check out the Onewheel Racing League website for all the rankings, by the way.
Yeah, all the rankings are up there. They're updated, all the points. But I was stoked to see Raquel's back.
Good for her.
And then on the Clydesdale, Chris Ferret won again. Or maybe it's Ferret. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. And then Electric Bigfoot Jason Messer won the freaking Legends division.
Oh, a little home cooking up there for him.
Yeah, a little home cooking, home brew.
Heck yeah.
So that's sick. Tyler was up there representing, and then he made the trek back. It was ridiculous. Like almost immediate turnaround to go.
First there was a different trip, but
there was a different trip. There was a side trip,
and then into X Games.
Right into the X Games, which I was so happy that we were able to get people to go to.
Yeah, the X Games. I didn't go, but a whole crew was down there. Tyler, Floaty, Brenda. If you don't know who we're talking about, sorry for dropping all these names. but anyways, just a great crew down there at X Games, and did a bunch of demos. Gave away boards to all the gold medalists at the X Games, which is a really cool partnership that we were able to finagle there.
That is rad, Jack. Tell me about this. I saw some people on the social medias were a little upset that we were giving away one wheels to non-one wheelers.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting because you actually pointed out something about some of the gold medalists who have been riding one wheel probably longer than most.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jagger Eaton, the person that was in that photo, I had connected with him probably 6 years ago, maybe, at an X Games out in Austin, I believe. This is like early days. We're talking One Wheel Plus era. And so he started riding back then. So for him, getting a GT is a pretty massive upgrade.
That's a huge upgrade.
And yeah, he's ridden one wheels, knows about them, loves them, is excited about them. And that's actually true for like quite a few of those athletes. Just because we have been to the X Games before and And a bunch of these people actually ride Onewheels or know about it.
Yeah.
One of the it would have been epic if Tony Hawk won the vert skate competition. Tony Hawk's like, this was gonna be my trivia for today, but I'm gonna blow it. Okay. Tony Hawk was like the first action sports athlete to ever hop on a Onewheel. It was in Ireland at a trade show that we were at. This is before we were shipping the product, I think.
Whoa.
Before the product was shipping. And Tony Hawk rode, and there's a photo, and I'm in the background doing some dumb shaka, and he's like, or maybe he's doing the dumb shaka. I don't remember. But there's a photo, and riding around with Tony Hawk, and he posted about it way back in the day, and that was like the first time we ever like gained. We probably had 700 followers on Instagram at the moment at that time, and overnight we had like 5K, and I just remember thinking, oh my God,
the Hawk gave us
this is crazy. Exactly. And so like, I'm sorry, but if you're complaining about, first of all, what company doesn't, it's called sponsorship and people do it all the time. This is a thing, right? But also it's like, this is something that we talked about in the Riders Summit, which is that it's like, it is in every one-wheeler's best interest to see the one-wheel world expand.
Yeah.
Do we want to be going to these same events in 5 years from now and have there be the exact same people doing the exact same thing? No, like it has to grow, like it has to grow.
Yeah.
And this is how there's a lot of ways that you can make it grow, but this is like a pretty high profile and super awesome effort to do that. And so I think that's just you're just being a hater if you're one of those people. It's kind of, I feel this way about LeBron James. Like there's people that don't like LeBron James. Like, dude, if you don't like LeBron James, you just don't like greatness.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but like that might be actually different.
I think that's a little different. But I think,
but like, yeah, like you gotta love seeing one-wheels out in the world. And it goes back to the community thing. It's like, oh, they're not a one-wheeler. It's like, well, who is like, who is a one-wheeler? Maybe Jagger Eaton actually is one. You just didn't know.
I think it's like you can't take everything for face value in life. Like, it's just, what is the one-wheel community about? Being inclusive, being accepting, and wanting to spread the stoke. I think that's like when I was hired, that was like the number one thing that was constantly preached. Spread the stoke. And if you're kind of coming at it like, oh, well, like
the stoke is mine.
The stoke is mine, or that person doesn't deserve that, or like they could buy it on themselves. And it's like, hey, like you're not actually spreading the stoke. You're kind of not being chill.
You're just being negative. You're just being a hater.
But I was so happy about that because, I mean, I've talked your ear about it of like
X Games.
Like I am a firm believer, and this is coming from a kid that started skateboarding at 7 years old.
Yeah. And
literally like every other skateboarder on the planet thought he was going to go pro.
Yep.
That was his dream.
Yep.
I think that Onewheels will eventually be in the X Games because, and what confirmed that for me is, you want to know what trick won the best trick vert contest? A 900. Do you want to know when the 900 was first done? 1999 by Tony Hawk.
Dang.
So the same trick, there might have been a slight variation. I think it's called the Judo 900. So there's a little tweak on it. And the kid was young. Like I thought it was dope and it landed it so clean. But like, think about that, like 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And the same trick is winning a contest. To me, that's like, where's the progression? Right.
Okay.
So, and I'm not talking smack.
I think you're talking smack.
I'm not talking, like, I am literally, I absolutely love skateboarding. It was my life. Like my parents spent way too much money on skateboard stuff for me.
Yeah.
But I do think there's like, it's like anything in technology is taking over.
Sure.
I think it's not going to be soon. It's not going to happen overnight, but I think like down the line, you're going to see like these young kids, like the dude was riding a Pine X in a video with Tyler.
Yeah.
And he was so good. I don't know if he's ridden a one wheel before, but like the dude was like insanely good.
Yeah. Well, I think the X Games is under new ownership, and I was just talking to Joey and Tyler, and they were saying that like it's really finding its stride right now. Like they're crushing it. This sounds like this last X Games was just like really, really dope. And the new folks who are in charge there, I think, understand that electric vehicles are like having a big moment and here to stay. And I think that's why that they were really excited to have us be a part of it. So I think. That's cool to see because it's not necessarily it doesn't necessarily.
And one thing that I heard that was like, I think a lot of people always think is like, oh, do like skateboarders and like board sporters not dig one wheels or something? And like from what I heard from Tyler, like everybody was stoked. All the people that were getting demos, like that's the demographic there. They're all bikers, boarders, like. Everybody was stoked that one wheel was there and riding one wheels and stuff. So like that just makes me so happy because like 10-year-old Adam at his home, I made like a Bucky Lasek sign out of cardboard and was watching like the TV, and I'd be like, that was me. Like I was a little fanboy.
Wow.
And then I go to the skate park and it was just like
I rode with Bucky Lasek at the X Games in Austin once. Bucky. But yeah, there's nothing not cool about one wheel. It's just the layers of perception that people put on top of it. Oh, that's nerdy. Oh, I saw a nerdy person riding it. That thing's nerdy. But like actually one wheels are like the most fun thing ever. And so if you can like strip away the layers of perception that, the societal lens in which people, can put on something, it's obviously super fun. And what I've realized over the years, because at this point I have been able to meet and ride with a lot of like Tony Hawk, Kelly Slater, like a lot of the biggest
top
names
board
in
sport athletes.
Exactly. Yeah. Is that when you're the best in the world at something, you have nothing to prove and you don't give a shit what anyone thinks of you. Mm-hmm. Tony Hawk does not care about what you think of him. No. He's Tony Hawk. Yeah. So if he hops on something and he's having fun on it, he doesn't care if you think it's nerdy or if you think it's cool. Like he doesn't care, and that's the same like Ryan Scheckler. Like there's a long list of like board sport folks who are complete badasses and are hyped on one wheel. It's always like the mid-tier people like at your local skate park who like are worried about like their friend making being fun of them. Exactly. Like those are the people that care.
What do you think that is about?
It's ego and it's cultural pressure.
Yeah. And I think as one-wheelers, we just need to exude confidence in how cool this thing is. Like I go ride the one wheel at Santa Cruz Boardwalk. Yeah. And I'm watching everybody walk. I know that I am on the sickest thing on that boardwalk, like on that strip. Yeah. Because everybody else is walking from like 2 miles away, parking their car. And I'm just like, people are asking me like, dude, I wish I had one of those, man. And it's like, get one.
It also does help though when the person that introduces it to you is a level 10 Stoke Lord such as Tyler James.
Oh my God, dude. Level 10. He is the Stoke Lord. Like
you can't not be hyped on it if Tyler's gassing you up.
I love that guy. I talked to him about it when I had him on the podcast, and I was like, like sometimes I come in and I'm like, oh, like it's what a day. And you're just like, Tyler's just like in there cooking
hair's
bouncing, cooking a frozen pizza in the morning, forgetting that it's in the toaster. And he's just like constantly stoked. And even when he's doesn't seem stoked, he's still like super down for stuff.
Yeah, I'm always.
Like, dude, I don't know how you got it, but I need to constantly be getting that energy from you.
So I think that helps too. Okay, how long are we?
We're like 45 minutes or so, I'd probably say.
What else we got? Because
I just wanted for everybody that's listening, I put out a little YouTube short of you kind of giving a brief explanation of CPSC and custom shaping.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again because a lot of people actually called you out on it and said that was BS answer.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Can we swear on here? I've sworn multiple times.
I mean,
okay.
Ryland.
Yeah, we're swearing. Yeah, we're swearing.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
tastefully, of course.
Okay, so let's get the latest update
Yeah.
on CPSC custom shaping. The truth.
Okay, the truth this time.
Yeah, the truth this time.
The CPSC stuff is still in the works. We're still talking with them, still figuring out a resolution there. It's been spent a long time. Spent a lot of time on it. Spent a lot of bandwidth. And hoping to have that resolved soon here. Although, we can't be sure of like any specific timeline or anything like that. But yeah, we're hopeful that will be put to bed here shortly. The thing is that custom shaping timeline is tied in with the CPSC timeline. And I don't know exactly like how much I can talk about it, but basically like they will both be firmware updates, and so that's why they are married together. Yeah, hoping to have both the CPSC resolution resolved soon and custom shaping out in the world soon. And we're working hard to make that happen, but some of it's a little bit out of our control. So.
And the riders at the Riders Summit got a little taste of what it could be, well, like what it will be. But
they got a taste of both.
It wasn't finished. Yeah, they got a taste of both.
They got a taste of both. Yeah, that was cool to be able to both share with them like more into the entire process and also the custom shaping stuff. So
yeah, and I think something that I always kind of remind folks is that like this is a legal matter. And we are also a private business. So like we can't just like open our heart and share every single little detail. So
yeah, it's true. It's
very
an ongoing.
Even when you talk about it, like you have to choose your words very specifically because.
Totally. Yeah, and I don't even really know the inner workings.
Yeah, you don't know all the details.
There's lawyers talking back and forth, trying to, whatever, figure it out. But yeah, I mean, it's an ongoing negotiation, and hopefully it'll be resolved soon, and then hopefully we can, send a firmware update with custom shaping out there, and get everyone riding that, and not have to deal with a government agency, on our backs all the time.
That would be great. That'd be great. Well,
at the end of the day, I think the one-wheel rider will win at the end of the day.
That's what I think. It's kind of like, in this life, life is waiting game. Whether it's, you want to or not, we're all waiting for everything.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to go there yet.
You're not ready to go there, but that's just the truth. We're just waiting, for the next thing. And that time will come.
Yeah.
And when that time does come, it's going to be a great day, and we can all rejoice. And, whether it's a slider or a little finger thingy on the phone screen, it's going to be a great moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for custom shaping for sure. I think that'll be big. I think people will be stoked.
Okay, going into we'll kind of start tailing this out, but Race for the Rail is about a little over a month away.
5-6 weeks, something like that. Yeah. Race for we're gonna we'll have to do another podcast where we like go deep on Race
we'll go
for the
deep
Rail,
on
right?
it. Yeah.
We'll break down who's in. We'll break down our favorites. We should make picks.
Oh yeah.
We should do the whole thing.
Little road to the Rail.
That's gonna
podcast.
be dope. You plan on being there. Plan on coming. It's a great event to go witness. Our favorite band, Sega Genocide, is playing Saturday night.
So sick.
Don't miss that. That's going to be that's amazing. The riding is an incredible spectacle. But yeah, it's a great event. So Mount Rose, Sky Tavern Resort, Reno, Nevada, September 8th and 9th, Race the Rail, and volunteer if you can.
Yeah, if you want to volunteer, just be out on the lookout for information on social channels. Oh, dude, there's like 2 more things that we didn't even touch on. Go. Function wrist guards.
I was going to bring that one up.
That's
okay,
like,
let me just riff on it really fast because I know the story. So basically, we hit up Dave and was like, "Hey, Dave, like your wrist guards are the best in the game. Our team's all wearing functions, even though we sell these wrist guards by a different brand that we won't name that are not as good. We've been wearing functions whenever we ride seriously for forever because Dave's the homie and has hooked it up. And for those of you who don't know, it's the best wrist guard in the game. It's not even close.
The best wrist guards on the planet, hands down.
Hands down. So we approached Dave and said, Dave, we'd love to, sell functions on our site. And we're talking a little bit on the phone. And I was talking with Dave, and Dave was talking about how he has dreams and aspirations of making all kinds of safety gear, broader than wrist guards, and also just how some of the headaches for him. He's a parent. He has kids. He has a different part to full-time job. So it's a huge, it's a huge responsibility and a ton of time to have this small but growing wrist guard business. You're literally packaging up boxes, answering customer emails, going to the shipping store and sending them out. You got to deal with the manufacturer. There's like a huge range. If anyone's owned a small business, there's a lot of things that you have to do. And as we were having this conversation, it just sort of like became evident that, we are set up in a way that we do a lot of that stuff every day at scale, whether it's fulfillment, operations, whether it's, customer support, like all those things we do. We do those every day. And what Dave really likes to do is ride Onewheels and design badass safety gear. And it just, sort of like out of that became clear that there could be like a really awesome partnership here where Dave gets to do that. We can take care of some of the dirty, work that goes into any operation and just make it run smoother. And so we acquired function wrist guards. So really stoked about that. That's awesome. Happy for Dave. So he's now, like a part of the team. He'll be designing safety gear under the Function brand, on an ongoing basis. And we get to wear Function wrist guards and we get to sell them. So, and I think the big winner also is just the Onewheel riders out there. Obviously there's like a core community that knows about Function wrist guards already. If you've been racing Onewheels, I'm sure you know about them or probably have them. But if you're just a more casual Onewheel rider, these are totally the wrist guards that you should be wearing. I cannot recommend them more highly, and look forward to continuing to develop more and more awesome safety products. So no electric rideable company is more committed to safety, in fact, you could say, than Future Motion.
Wow.
So that's the Function story.
I'm so happy for Dave.
Me too.
I'm stoked to have him part of the team. Like, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, being able to develop a friendship and relationship with him throughout the years, and like hearing that news, I was like, yeah,
me too.
Let's go.
Me too. You have to give me a lot of credit for not jumping into it then and there. I almost jumped into the Function story then, but I let you go down the list.
Okay. Final things is, I mentioned this to you in the kitchen.
Oh gosh.
I was looking at there's been so many races that have gone on, and I wanted to get some of the rankings. Found out that there are roughly 132 men racers, ranked racers, in the pro division for ORL.
Okay.
There are roughly 30 women racers in the pro division.
Need more ladies.
We need more women racers. Right now, your odds are, give or take, some of the top ladies are freaking fast and insanely good, but those are some decent odds to win 10 grand at Race for the Rail.
It's true. Well, now, technically it's like 1 in 12.
Yeah.
But for next season, get in the mix.
Get in the mix.
You had if you were in the mix this year, you had just on paper you had a 1 in 30 shot. Now, like you're saying, there's talent discrepancy. So, Mercedes probably has a better chance of winning 30 Gs.
I would love to see at least 50 ranked women riders next year. That would be so awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you watched last year's race for the rail, the women's race was just as exciting as the men's.
The women's finals was
that
the best
final
race.
was like the best final I've seen in a long
The women's
time.
finals race was the best race for race for the last year, hands down. That was incredible.
Yeah, that was that Mercedes and Rachel Cecil coming around the turn, like, oh my gosh! And then we had the helmet cams.
Crazy.
Go to the Onewheel YouTube channel, check out not only the highlights, check out the full race. Go check out the helmet cams of Kyle Hansen and Rachel Cecil on their finals. It will give you goosebumps. I kid you not. Go do that right now.
It's very cool.
Final plug before we leave. The Onewheel apparel is up and running. We have tons of pieces, hats, beanies, t-shirts, sweaters, bags, socks, stickers. We completely redesigned this.
It's true. You're wearing a shirt right there, so that's not even intentional. You just wore that in today.
I wear it because
it fits you nicely.
It fits me so well.
And that one is pre-washed. Basically, the story here is that our old merch, we were our biggest critic with our old apparel, our old merch. We in-house, like the crew, we weren't feeling it. So we decided we need to totally reapproach, redesign, reconsider, wipe the slate, start at zero, and just the blanks that we need to use need to be like the highest quality blanks, which is what we did. Pretty minimal designs, I would say, on the whole, except for maybe Hot Nasty Speed over here, which is a very dope long sleeve. But yeah, it's just really well done. Pretty minimal, just really quality feel. Those sweatshirts are good. The beanies are good. The hats are awesome. Pick up a piece. Give a friend a piece.
Give the friend the gift of a Onewheel piece of apparel.
Yeah.
And then final product plug is the hybrid fender.
Oh, the hybrid fender.
GT. Pretty freaking dope.
The hybrid fender is dope. Yeah, it's got that latch. Basically it's a fender that you can take off your board. We did not invent removable fenders.
No,
there was a big stir about this on social media. We didn't invent removable fenders. They've existed for a long time, but the hybrid fender, the way that it works is very different than other removable fenders on the marketplace. It's actually got an anodized aluminum latch.
Very nice.
That is built into the face of the fender. And you just press it, and then you can somehow that's what you do. You just press it and you just lift it up to take your fender off if you want to ride with no fender. And a nice fender delete is left on your board. So that's how you install it. It's basically just installing a fender delete. And then to put it back, you hook the front on and snap the back. And the snap is this really nice sound.
Hook and snap.
Ta! And it's just really satisfying, and it works really well. And we threw it down a massive hill.
Massive cliff.
Because we saw a lot of people were saying, well, how durable is it really?
Durable? And we made Tyler hike up probably a couple or a few hundred feet up this mountainside. And he rolled off like he was going to ride, let the board go. And this was for testing purposes.
Closed course professional rider.
Closed course professional rider.
The thing went.
And it went, and
fell off a cliff.
It fell off a little cliff, and it tumbled.
Dude.
It tumbled for a while, and he went down. He hiked down and picked it up
by the fender.
By the fender. So that clip will be surfacing sometime.
Yeah,
but
so you'd have a hard. I think.
It's a good fender. That's what I.
If you can break it in normal use. Then maybe we'll send you a new one. That's not a guarantee.
No, it's not
overall.
No.
But I will. This is to one person. This isn't a company policy.
No.
But they're pretty bomber.
Yeah, and my selling point for it is I love riding without a fender.
Yeah. Just that freedom.
But the freedom.
Yeah.
You see the tire. It gives you a special energy, being able to see the tire when you ride. But there are those times when you want a fender.
Yep.
There have been times where I found myself riding to work and, it's not like super wet out, but just enough that there's going to get a little bit of sprinkle on my lower pant leg.
That's right.
Didn't have a fender. Didn't want to take the time to screw a fender on because I was running late.
Yep.
If I had the hybrid fender, boom, smack and latch.
Smack and latch.
Wouldn't have had to show up here with changing my pants.
One more use case, because I know everyone wants to hear one more use case for the hybrid fender.
Tell us.
But our colleague Rylan Chin correctly points out that the other amazing use case for the hybrid fender is that when your fender gets full of gunk, you can just take your fender off, clear the gunk out, and you're good to go, which happened to us on the salt flats very recently.
Yes, that's true.
Fully caked. Just take the fender off, just wipe all that stuff off, boom, right back to good again. So
this is
sneaky useful.
The marketer in myself, but also the practical user, would say that if you have a Onewheel GT, this is the only fender that you ever need, because if you don't want to ride it with a fender, you just take the top off.
It's true. It's so true.
Well, on that note, Jack.
Shameless sales plug.
I mean, that's what we're here to do.
That's what we do.
Realistically.
Huh? It's a good one.
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me today. We had a ton to talk about. I'm hoping the next person I'll have on the podcast, I'm pretty stoked on. I won't release that yet, but the next podcast after this won't be too far along. So stoked we're back in the game. We'll go for episode 10 after this one.
Whew.
And we'll keep it rolling, baby.
Thanks for joining us, y'all.
All right. Shred on.
We were out one day and we saw a snake in a trail.
Almost hit him.
And we almost hit it. And this song is about that snake. This song is called Snake in the Rain. And if I forget the words or the chords, we're not going to really worry about it.
You won't know anyway, so.
Okay. Hit a laser. Lone and forgotten, I lie here in the middle of the trail. The precipitation comes down upon me. Lord, I might not prevail. I'm just a snake in the rain. I'm just a snake in the cold. I'm just a snake in the rain, in the middle of the road. Well, I ain't got no legs. I got nowhere to run. God damn, I miss the sun. God damn, I miss the sun. Well, I miss my mom, and I miss my dad. I miss the times that we used to have.
Yeah!
I said I miss the times that we used to have. When I was a kid, hanging out in the field. Nothing ever felt so real. Nothing ever felt so real. Well, I wish I had wings. I could fly away. I would go to San Tropez. I would go to San Tropez. I'm a snake on a plane, sitting in the aisle. Ordered a Jack Daniels, but it's taking a while. Ordered a Jack Daniels, but it's taking a while.
God, I hate when that happens.
When I get to my gate, well, my work here is done. Now I am a snake in the sun. Now I am a snake in the sun. Happy seek and tread to everyone.
Woo-hoo-hoo!